Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a question. How many of you spent years in school, memorizing formulas, reading textbooks, passing exams, and yet when you stepped out into the real world, you realized nobody was handing you a fortune just because you had a diploma? That's the truth of life. Formal education is important. It will give you the skills to make a living. It will help you read, write, calculate, and follow instructions. But here's the shocking reality. It stops at survival. It prepares you to work for someone else's dream, not to create your own. The real wealth, the real success, the real transformation, it comes from something different. It comes from self-education. The kind of education you choose, not the one forced on you. The books you decide to read after class is over. The mentors you choose to listen to. The skills you develop in the quiet hours while others are wasting time. You see, your future is not determined by the degree hanging on your wall. It is determined by the knowledge, the habits, and the wisdom you build when nobody is grading you, when nobody is clapping for you, when nobody is watching. Think about it. The world's wealthiest men and women didn't just rely on their certificates. They built libraries at home. They invested in seminars. They listened. They studied. They grew. They took responsibility for their education. Because here's the secret: school teaches you how to earn a paycheck. Self-education teaches you how to earn a fortune. Formal education says, learn this subject so you can pass. Self-education says, learn this subject so you can last. Formal education makes you useful to the system. Self-education makes you powerful beyond the system. Now, let's get practical. What does self-education look like? It's picking up a book on leadership when your teacher never mentioned leadership. It's listening to an audio program on wealth when your school never taught you how money actually works. It's sitting down to write your goals when nobody assigned it as homework. It's the courage to say, I will become a student of life, not just a student of school. And when you commit to that, your life changes. Your income changes. Your influence changes. Your destiny changes. So yes, go to school. Respect your teachers. Get that degree if you choose. But don't stop there. Don't think the classroom is the finish line. The classroom is only the beginning. The greatest investment you can make is in your mind, in your growth, in your personal development. Because the more you work on yourself, the more valuable you become to the marketplace, to your family, to your community, and to your own future. Remember this: formal education will open the door to employment, but self-education will open the vault of opportunity. And opportunity, when combined with preparation, creates fortune. So, my challenge to you is simple: never stop learning, never stop studying, never stop growing. Build yourself until the world cannot ignore you. Formal education prepares you to earn a living, but self-education prepares you to create wealth and freedom. Think about that for a moment, because it holds the key to why so many people spend their entire lives working hard yet never truly experience the kind of abundance, success, and freedom they dream about. The truth is, formal education has its place. It gives us the basics: reading, writing, arithmetic, structure, discipline. It prepares us to enter the marketplace with a certain skill set. It teaches us how to follow instructions, complete tasks, and contribute to society. But as valuable as it is, formal education often stops at survival. It equips you to get by, to pay the bills, to hold a job, and for many, that is where their journey of learning ends. But life doesn't reward people for simply getting by. Life rewards those who go beyond the basics, those who decide to learn what isn't taught in the classroom. That's where self-education enters the picture. Self-education is the bridge between surviving and thriving. It is the difference between a paycheck and prosperity. It is the personal decision to become a lifelong student, not of the curriculum handed to you, but of the knowledge and skills that create true value in the marketplace and in life. Here is the reality: the world does not pay you for what you know. It pays you for the value you bring. A degree may qualify you to step into a role, but it is your continuous growth, your willingness to keep learning, and your hunger for self-education that will determine how far you rise, how much you earn, and how much influence you create. That's why two people can graduate from the same school with the same degree, yet 5 or 10 years later, one is still struggling with bills while the other has built wealth, freedom, and opportunity. The difference isn't in their diploma. The difference is in what they did after the diploma. Self-education means picking up the books that weren't required. It means attending seminars no one demanded you to attend. It means listening to mentors, studying principles of success, learning how money works, how influence grows, how character is built, and how opportunities are seized. While others close their books after graduation, those who embrace self-education keep their books open for life. That's why their income keeps growing, their wisdom keeps expanding, and their opportunities keep multiplying. When you commit to self-education, you stop waiting for someone else to hand you a curriculum, and you design your own. You say to yourself, If the school doesn't teach me how to manage money, I'll teach myself. If the school doesn't show me how to build leadership, I'll find out. If the classroom didn't prepare me for wealth, I'll prepare myself. That kind of decision separates the average from the extraordinary. Think of the people you admire most in business, in leadership, in life. Many of them were not the top students in school. Some didn't even finish school. But what they did was adopt the mindset of a self-educated person. They became obsessed with growth. They turned their car into a classroom, their evenings into a study hall, their conversations into opportunities to learn. They understood that while formal education sets the foundation, it is self-education that builds the skyscraper. And here's something important. Self-education is not about collecting random knowledge. It is about targeted, intentional learning. It is about finding out what skills, what attitudes, what habits, and what wisdom will increase your value in the marketplace and bring you closer to your vision of success. A doctor may learn medicine through formal education, but the doctor who studies communication, leadership, and personal growth on their own becomes the doctor who builds a thriving practice, earns respect, and inspires others. An employee may learn the basics of their job at school, but the employee who studies personal development, money management, and influence becomes the leader, the entrepreneur, the person others follow. Formal education can make you an employee. Self-education can make you an owner. Formal education may train you to use your hands. Self-education trains you to use your mind. Formal education gives you a certificate. Self-education gives you wealth, freedom, and the ability to design your future. The tragedy is that too many people stop learning the moment they graduate. They think the test is over. They think the assignments are done. But life is the real exam, and the questions never stop coming. The ones who pass the test of life are not the ones with the highest grades in school, but the ones who never stop studying after school. They keep sharpening their mind, upgrading their skills, and learning what others refuse to learn. That is why they enjoy a life of fortune, freedom, and fulfillment. Imagine this. Every hour you spend on self-education compounds, read a book today, and it may spark an idea that doubles your income tomorrow. Listen to an audio program today, and it may shift your perspective in a way that changes your entire career. Attend a seminar today, and it may connect you to a mentor who opens the door to opportunities you never dreamed of. Self-education multiplies the value of time, because what you learn today doesn't just benefit you now, it benefits you for a lifetime. We live in an age where information is more available than ever before. You can access the wisdom of the greatest minds with the push of a button. You can learn from experts across the globe without leaving your home. The question is not whether the information is there. The question is whether you are hungry enough to seek it. The difference between those who live paycheck to paycheck and those who achieve financial freedom is not opportunity, because opportunities surround us all. The difference is preparation, and preparation comes from self-education. The marketplace pays for value, not potential. If you want to increase your income, increase your value. If you want to create wealth, create more value. And the only way to do that is by self-education. Invest in yourself more than you invest in your job. Invest in your growth more than you invest in your entertainment. Turn your downtime into study time. Replace hours of distraction with hours of focused learning, because every moment you dedicate to self-education puts you one step closer to fortune and freedom. Self-education transforms not only your bank account, but also your mindset. It teaches you discipline, vision, and responsibility. It shifts your perspective from waiting for the world to reward you to taking charge of creating your own rewards. It reminds you that while formal education may give you the tools to survive, it is your responsibility to seek out the tools to thrive. The classroom ends, but true learning begins the day you take responsibility for your own growth. For many people, education is a timeline. They enter school at a certain age, progress through subjects, pass tests, and one day walk across a stage to receive a diploma. They see that moment as the finish line, as if learning is something you only do in buildings with chalkboards and desks. But the truth is, the diploma is not the end, it is the beginning. The day you graduate is not the day you stop learning. It should be the day you start truly learning. Because real education does not come from waiting for someone to hand you a textbook. It comes from you deciding to become a student of life. When you walk out of the classroom, the world will present you with challenges far greater than any test you faced in school. Life will test your patience, your persistence, your courage, your character. Life will test your ability to manage money, build relationships, solve problems, and make decisions under pressure. These are not lessons written neatly on a board. These are lessons you must seek, lessons you must embrace, and lessons you must be willing to learn again and again until you master them. The moment you realize that growth is your responsibility, not your professors, not your employers, not your parents, is the moment you step into the kind of learning that changes your destiny. The classroom may have given you structure, but life requires initiative. In school, someone tells you what book to read, what assignment to complete, what grade you receive. In life, no one is handing out grades. No one is following you with a report card. It is up to you to decide whether you grow or whether you stagnate. And that's where most people get stuck. They confuse the end of formal education with the end of their education altogether. They believe they've done their part, and now the rest of life is just about applying what they already know. But the truth is the world is moving too fast for that. If you stop learning, you stop advancing. If you stop growing, you start falling behind. Taking responsibility for your growth means no longer blaming circumstances for your lack of progress. It means not waiting for a company to send you to a workshop or for someone to encourage you to read a book. It means you take charge of your own progress. If you need leadership skills, you study leadership. If you need financial wisdom, you study money. If you need discipline, you study habits. The moment you realize no one else is coming to rescue your future is the moment you finally gain control of it. Think about the most successful people in the world. They are not just graduates of a classroom. They are graduates of life's lessons. They did not stop reading when the teacher stopped assigning chapters. They did not stop growing when the assignments ended. They understood that success is not about what you learn for 12 years or 4 years. It's about what you keep learning for the rest of your life. They learned to read not just for information, but for transformation. They learned to listen not just for entertainment, but for wisdom. They learned to observe not just to pass time, but to gain insight. And here's the secret: true learning is not passive, it is active. You don't wait for it, you chase it. You don't sit back and hope growth finds you, you go after it with hunger. That hunger is what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. If you're willing to spend an hour a day reading, listening, observing, and applying, you'll grow faster in a year than most people grow in a decade. Because growth compounds. What you learned today builds on what you learned yesterday. What you practice this week builds on what you practiced last week. Soon, you are not the same person you were. Your thinking is sharper, your actions are more effective, your decisions are wiser. School may have given you knowledge, but responsibility-driven learning gives you wisdom. Knowledge is information, wisdom is applied knowledge. And wisdom comes only when you decide to keep learning long after the classroom ends. That means asking questions others are afraid to ask. That means studying topics others overlook. That means being willing to be a beginner again and again. If you are willing to remain a student of life, you will never stop growing. And when you never stop growing, you never stop opening doors. It is easy to spot those who stopped learning when the classroom ended. Their conversations are shallow. Their perspective is limited. Their opportunities are few. They complain about circumstances but never look for solutions. On the other hand, those who embrace responsibility for growth stand out. Their conversations are rich. Their ideas are creative. Their influence is strong. They don't wait for the world to change. They adapt. They innovate. They lead. That is the power of true learning. Consider this. Every breakthrough in history came not from someone who stopped learning after school, but from someone who kept asking questions, who kept searching, who kept challenging themselves. The greatest inventors, leaders, and creators weren't content with what they were taught. They built on it. They refused to accept that the end of formal education was the end of growth. Instead, they saw it as the doorway to self-directed learning, the kind of learning that leads to breakthroughs, innovations, and fortunes. The day you take responsibility for your growth is the day you stop being a victim of circumstance. You stop saying, "I wasn't taught that," and start saying, "I will teach myself." You stop saying, "I can't because I don't know how," and start saying, "I will learn until I know how." That shift changes everything. It transforms your outlook. It transforms your discipline. It transforms your future. Because life doesn't reward excuses, it rewards growth. And growth comes to those who take responsibility for it. When you truly grasp this, you realize that every day is a classroom. Every person you meet is a teacher. Every challenge is a test. Every failure is a lesson. And every success is proof that your growth is paying off. The walls of school may have limited your subjects, but life's classroom has no walls, no boundaries, no restrictions. The question is, are you enrolled? Are you showing up daily? Are you taking notes? Are you willing to learn, to unlearn, to relearn? Because those who are will find themselves ahead, while those who are not will remain stuck in the past. What you learn for survival is given to you. What you learn for success is chosen by you. From the time you were young, you were given lessons designed to help you survive. You were taught how to read, how to write, how to add and subtract. You were shown how to follow rules, complete assignments, and stay within boundaries. These lessons are valuable because they equip you with the basics of functioning in society. They allow you to hold a job, to pay your bills, to navigate daily life. But they are not the lessons that will take you to the highest levels of achievement. They are the foundation, not the skyscraper. Survival education is handed to you, but success education must be pursued, sought out, and chosen. Survival is about meeting the minimum requirements of life. Success is about expanding beyond the minimum to create abundance, influence, and freedom. The difference lies in choice. Everyone is given survival knowledge. Not everyone chooses success knowledge. In school, you were given textbooks, assignments, and exams. You didn't choose them. They were handed to you. But in life, the subjects that lead to success are not assigned. No one is forcing you to study personal growth, leadership, financial literacy, or communication. Those are choices, and they separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Survival knowledge might tell you how to earn a paycheck, but success knowledge shows you how to multiply money, invest it, and make it work for you. Survival knowledge might help you get along with coworkers, but success knowledge teaches you how to lead, inspire, and influence others to follow your vision. Survival knowledge teaches you to fit into a system. Success knowledge teaches you to create your own system. The difference is monumental, and yet most people stop at survival because it is what was given to them. They never go beyond to choose the education that leads to success. If you want success, you must become intentional. That means asking yourself, what skills do I need to develop that school never taught me? What principles do I need to master that were not part of my formal curriculum? If you want financial freedom, you must study money. If you want leadership, you must study human behavior and influence. If you want lasting fulfillment, you must study character, values, and personal development. These subjects are rarely taught in classrooms, but they are essential to success in the real world. They are chosen subjects, not given subjects. Think of the difference between someone who only learns survival and someone who chooses success. The survival learner works a job, pays bills, and hopes to retire someday. The success learner studies entrepreneurship, invests in personal growth, and builds streams of income. The survival learner accepts the rules others set. The success learner learns how to write their own rules. The survival learner says, I wasn't taught that in school. The success learner says, if I wasn't taught it, I'll teach myself. It is this willingness to choose what you learn that transforms your future. Nobody gave Warren Buffett his financial wisdom in a classroom. Nobody handed Steve Jobs a textbook on innovation. Nobody assigned Oprah a curriculum on influence and leadership. They chose their education. They went beyond what was given to them and pursued the knowledge that would shape their destinies. The marketplace rewards this choice. Employers and businesses don't pay for the basics, they expect them. They pay for the extra, for the rare, for the valuable. And those come from self-chosen education. If all you bring is survival knowledge, you will be paid survival wages. If you bring success knowledge, specialized skills, leadership, creativity, vision, you will be rewarded with success level opportunities. The principle is simple. Survival education keeps you safe. Success education makes you wealthy. When you realize this, you stop waiting for someone else to tell you what to study. You start designing your own curriculum for life. You build your own library. You seek mentors who have walked the path you want to walk. You choose subjects like negotiation, wealth building, time management, and personal growth. You practice the art of asking better questions because better questions lead to better answers, and better answers lead to better results. You stop being a passive student and become an active one. The tragedy is that so many people waste years thinking the education they were given is enough. They finish school and never open another book. They stop studying, they stop growing, and then they wonder why their lives remain stagnant. But success is not handed out in classrooms. Success is chosen in the quiet hours when you decide to keep learning while others stop. It is chosen when you read while others watch television, when you listen to wisdom while others waste time, when you invest in growth while others settle for comfort. The good news is that anyone can make the choice. You don't need permission. You don't need a degree. You don't need a classroom. You need hunger. You need discipline. You need the courage to say, what I was given is not enough for where I want to go. That single decision separates mediocrity from greatness. Because survival education will hand you tools, but success education will teach you how to use those tools to build something extraordinary. When you look at people who rise to the top, you'll notice they are not necessarily smarter than others. They simply made different choices about what they learned. They learned sales, marketing, investing, leadership, subjects nobody forced them to learn, and those choices created opportunities that survival knowledge alone could never provide. Every person is offered survival education, but every person must decide whether to pursue success education. That decision determines how far they go, how much they achieve, and how much freedom they create. Survival knowledge is about existing. Success knowledge is about living fully. Survival knowledge teaches you how to adapt. Success knowledge teaches you how to thrive. Survival knowledge prepares you for the minimum. Success knowledge prepares you for the maximum. Self-education multiplies your value in the marketplace far beyond any diploma or degree. A diploma is proof that you completed a course of study, that you showed up for classes, passed exams, and met the requirements laid out by an institution. It is valuable, yes, but it has limits. A degree can get you in the door, but once you are inside, your growth, your advancement, and your opportunities will not be determined by the paper hanging on the wall. They will be determined by the value you bring, and value is not fixed. Value is something you can multiply through continuous self-education. The marketplace is driven by one thing: value. Companies don't pay you for your time, they pay you for the value you create during that time. Employers don't hire you just because of your degree, they hire you because they believe you can solve problems, generate results, and contribute to growth. And here's the truth: the marketplace doesn't care whether that ability came from a classroom or from your own self-directed learning. What matters is that you bring more value than the next person. That is why two people with the same degree can enter the same company, start at the same salary, and yet within a few years one is still stuck in the same position while the other has doubled their income and climbed the ladder. The difference is not the diploma. The difference is in the value they multiplied through self-education. When you decide to keep learning beyond what was required, you open up a new dimension of growth. You begin to see opportunities others miss. You begin to solve problems others avoid. You begin to connect dots others can't see. That is the power of self-education. Every book you read, every skill you acquire, every principle you master adds another layer of value to who you are in the marketplace. And the more valuable you become, the more the marketplace rewards you. Consider a person with a degree in business. The degree may have taught them the basics of management, accounting, and economics. But if they stop there, their value remains limited to what was taught. Now imagine that same person, after graduation, begins reading books on leadership, taking courses on communication, learning about sales psychology, studying wealth-building principles, and attending seminars on personal growth. Within a few years, their knowledge is not only broader, but deeper. They have insights, strategies, and perspectives that others with the same degree do not. Their value multiplies, and so do their opportunities. The world does not pay you for what you know, it pays you for what you apply. And self-education is where you learn how to apply knowledge in real, practical ways that make a difference. Formal education may have given you a framework, but self-education gives you adaptability. Formal education may have shown you theories, but self-education shows you application. And in the marketplace, application is everything. That is why someone without a degree but with relentless self-education can sometimes surpass someone with multiple degrees but no hunger for growth. The paper matters less than the value you bring, and value is multiplied through what you continue to learn on your own. Think of technology as an example. What you learned in school about technology 5 years ago may already be outdated today. The person who stops learning is stuck in the past, while the person who continues self-education remains relevant, adaptable, and ahead in a world that changes rapidly. The commitment to self-education is not just an advantage, it is survival. But more than survival, it is the pathway to standing out, to becoming the person others look to for guidance, and to being rewarded with opportunities others never see. Self-education also builds confidence. When you consistently grow, you begin to trust yourself more. You know that no matter what challenge comes, you can figure it out. You develop resourcefulness, and resourcefulness is one of the greatest forms of value you can offer. Employers, clients, and partners look for people who can adapt, innovate, and solve. That ability doesn't come from a static diploma. It comes from the living, breathing process of continuous learning. The greatest leaders in history understood this. They were students long after they stopped being students in school. They built libraries in their homes. They devoted time daily to reading, studying, listening, and reflecting. They knew that while formal education might prepare you to enter the game, self-education determines how well you play it. And those who play it best are the ones who never stop learning. The marketplace is like a mirror. It reflects back the value you offer. If your value is stagnant, your rewards will be stagnant. If your value is growing, your rewards will grow. If your value is multiplying, your rewards will multiply. And nothing multiplies value faster than self-education. A new skill can double your effectiveness. A new mindset can triple your opportunities. A new strategy can change your entire financial future. That is why investing in your own growth is the most profitable investment you can make. Degrees are important, but they are only the beginning. They are proof that you can learn. but they are not proof that you will continue to learn. Self-education is the proof. It is the daily commitment to add something new to your mind, to expand your perspective, to sharpen your abilities. It is the willingness to read when others are distracted, to study when others are relaxing, to grow when others are coasting. That extra effort, that choice to keep learning is what sets you apart. Self-education also creates independence. When you rely solely on formal education, you are dependent on what others decide to teach you. When you embrace self-education, you take control of your own growth. You choose what you learn, how fast you learn it, and how deeply you apply it. You are no longer limited by what the system provides. You are only limited by your hunger and discipline. And when hunger and discipline are present, there are no limits at all. Every book you open, every seminar you attend, every mentor you listen to is like adding a tool to your toolbox. The more tools you have, the more problems you can solve. The more problems you can solve, the more valuable you become. The more valuable you become, the more rewards flow your way. That is the cycle of growth, and it is driven by self-education. Fortune doesn't come from information alone. It comes from applied, continuous, and intentional self-education. Knowledge by itself is potential, like a seed in the hand of a farmer. A seed is promise, but until it is planted, watered, and cared for, it produces nothing. In the same way, information by itself does not guarantee results. You can memorize books, collect certificates, and attend countless seminars, but if you do not apply what you learn, it lies dormant. The transformation happens when you take what you know and use it consistently, when you put it into action with purpose and discipline. That is where fortune begins to take root. There is no shortage of information in today's world. In fact, we live in the most informed age in human history. At the click of a button, you can access lessons, strategies, and wisdom from the greatest minds across centuries. But despite this abundance, not everyone is wealthy, not everyone is successful, and not everyone is free. Why? Because fortune is not tied to how much you know, but to how much you apply. Information is everywhere, but applied information is rare. And those who choose to apply it with intention are the ones who rise above the rest. Applied self-education means turning knowledge into habits. It means taking a principle you read in a book and practicing it until it becomes second nature. It means learning about money and then creating a budget, investing consistently, and managing resources with discipline. It means studying leadership and then stepping into situations where you practice leading, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. It means not just consuming content, but living it. When you do this continuously, your life compounds in ways that simple information never could. Fortune is not the result of a single action or a single decision. It is the accumulation of small, consistent applications of knowledge over time. Just as a tree doesn't grow overnight, your fortune doesn't appear instantly. It grows as you water it daily through intentional self-education. Every time you read and apply, every time you listen and implement, every time you study and act, you add another layer to your foundation of success. Over the years, that foundation becomes so strong that it supports fortune in ways you once could not imagine. Continuous self-education is also what keeps your growth alive. If you stop learning, you stop evolving. The world is changing, the marketplace is shifting, and yesterday's knowledge quickly becomes outdated. Those who cling to old information fall behind, while those who embrace continuous self-education stay relevant, adaptable, and ahead. Fortune flows to those who are prepared, and preparation is ongoing. You cannot prepare once and be done. You must prepare constantly. Continuous learning is what ensures you are ready when opportunities come. Intentional self-education takes it one step further. It is not about learning randomly. It is about choosing with clarity. It is about identifying what skills, what habits, what wisdom will have the greatest impact on your future, and then focusing on those. Many people are drowning in information because they consume it without direction. They read aimlessly, listen aimlessly, watch aimlessly, and wonder why nothing changes. Intentional self-education is different. It says, I will learn about money because I want financial freedom. I will study communication because I want influence. I will practice discipline because I want consistency. It is targeted growth, and targeted growth produces targeted results. Fortune comes to the person who understands that learning is not an event, it is a lifestyle. It is something you commit to daily, just like eating or exercising. You don't go to the gym once and expect health. You don't read one book and expect fortune. You commit to the process. You commit to the practice. You commit to becoming better today than you were yesterday, and you keep that commitment alive every single day. Over time, the compound effect of intentional self-education creates extraordinary outcomes. Imagine two people who both graduate with the same degree. One relies on the information they already have. They feel their education is complete, so they never read another book, never attend another seminar, never stretch beyond their comfort zone. The other embraces applied, continuous, intentional self-education. They read daily, they practice what they learn, they seek out mentors, they invest in courses. 10 years later, the difference is staggering. One is living paycheck to paycheck, while the other has built a life of abundance, freedom, and influence. They started with the same information, but only one chose to apply it continuously and intentionally. That choice made all the difference. Applied self-education also transforms who you are, not just what you have. The process of learning and applying builds discipline, patience, and resilience. You don't just gain external results, you gain internal strength. You become someone capable of handling greater responsibility, greater challenges, and greater rewards. That is why fortune flows to those who grow themselves. Wealth without wisdom is temporary. Success without discipline crumbles. But when fortune is built on the foundation of applied, continuous, intentional self-education, it lasts because you are not just chasing results, you are becoming the kind of person who can sustain them. The key is action. Knowledge without action is like having a map and never leaving your driveway. The map shows you the way, but only steps move you forward. Too many people collect maps and never walk the road. They attend conferences, take notes, highlight books, but never apply. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Action is the bridge between information and fortune. Action, repeated daily, is what turns ideas into results. But action alone is not enough if it is not continuous. Sporadic effort produces sporadic results. A burst of effort followed by silence leads to frustration. Continuous effort, on the other hand, creates momentum. Momentum turns small actions into unstoppable progress. The person who reads 10 pages a day, applies one idea, and repeats this over years will surpass the person who consumes massive information once and then quits. Consistency compounds, and fortune is the compound interest of applied knowledge. And then comes intention. Intention gives direction to your effort. It makes sure you are not just busy but productive, not just learning but transforming. It keeps you focused on the knowledge that matters most to your goals. With intention, every book you read, every course you take, every mentor you listen to becomes a step on a clear path. Without intention, you may be moving but not progressing. With intention, you move with purpose, and purpose accelerates progress. Applied, continuous, and intentional self-education is the formula. One without the other is incomplete. Applied without continuous is short-lived. Continuous without intention is scattered. Intention without application is wasted. But together they form the foundation of fortune. They transform potential into power, information into impact, and knowledge into wealth.